OpenAI's Agent Builder tool has shocked the AI industry forever. It has created a brand new opportunity for beginners to build, deploy, and sell their AI agents within just a day. In this free course, I will turn you into a master AI Agent Builder user so you can take part in this AI gold rush. So quick overview of this entire new update that OpenAI released that's changing the entire AI industry. The Agent Kit is a modular toolkit for building, deploying, and optimizing agents. For now, we've always been using end-to-end, we've been using Make, we've been using Zapier, but this might be the end of all of them. So there's multiple components of Agent Builder. Regarding deployment, you can embed your agent using Chatkit, which we will talk more about later in the video. But it's basically a customizable UI component where you can embed your agent into a website, very similar to VoiceFlow if you've used that before, but it's very customizable. And in fact, I think this is the most customizable chat assistant you possibly can make, which makes it very, very cool. And it talks about customization right here. But another real good thing is the fact that we can optimize our agent to levels that haven't been shown before. And it then tries to have optimization steps for agents, but I haven't seen something as good as OpenAI's. You have the evals feature where you can literally just see how well your agent is performing as trace grading, and you can optimize prompts. You can basically make sure that your agent is behaving very well. And if it's lacking at any part of the flow, you can always work on it and get it to be better. This is the Agent Builder UI. You can see there's a bunch of options right here. I click Agent Builder, and there's a lot of templates that you can use, or you can create your own. For this use case, we do a create our own, and this is the canvas that we have. It's very, very nice. I really like this canvas. I think it's absolutely stunning. Right, the colors really pop out. You can embed your agent via code using the Agents SDK, or again, you can use Chatkit, which we'll talk about later in the video. You can preview your agent to see how it works, right? Obviously, there's not really much going on right now. And you can publish it for deployment, but that's a little bit later. Now, going over each node, this is the agent node. This is the node that you're using the most. The agent node is very similar to any other platform. You can type in instructions of what it is to do. You can decide whether you want to include a chat history or not. You can select your model, or whichever model you want to pick. We can go for GPT-5 for now. Reasoning effort, I like to do medium. You can add tools. This is a really cool part. You can have MCP servers, so you can connect your Gmail, your Google Calendar, your Google Drive, Shopify, Zapier. For payment integration within your apps, you can integrate Stripe, PayPal. There's a lot of things you can do with the MCP server. You can also do file search. This is great whenever you want to add to your assistant's knowledge base. This is something we're going to be using very soon. Web search. So if you want to have your assistant surf the web, and you can sometimes pick which websites you want it to go for. Let's say you want an assistant that's only built to scrape properties on Zillow. Let's say you're a real estate agent's helper, right? You don't want to be looking at youtube.com or looking at some random sites such as Quora about relationship advice, right? You want to make sure you pick which websites you want the assistant to actually look at. The user location doesn't really matter right now, but let's say you want to make sure it's like a US only tool, you're looking at only US properties, you can select United States, you can pick the state, city to get very specific, right? This is a pretty cool tool. And the last one is a code interpreter. We're not gonna be using this for this demo, but if you are adding any code within your workflow, maybe you wanna create a code helper, like someone like Cursor, right? You can have this code interpreter. So it's pretty cool stuff, right? The output format, you put text, JSON. In this case, we can have it be text for now, but pretty cool node. This is the end node. This basically ends your workflow. This is not anything novel. I think everyone knows what the end node would do. You can add a note, so you can say start of the flow. This is good for annotating your flow in case your flow gets very complicated. You might want to label certain parts of it, right? You can expand this in. It's really easy to use. We can say right there. File search, as talked about before, you can create vector stores. So let's say, and you can see I already have some vector stores created, but in a bunch of different files. But let's say you want to create a new vector store to create. Later on, we'll be creating a transcript tool. So you can add files right here, and you can upload whatever you want. We'll go more into that later on. But the file tool is very, very nice. You can do max result. You can query for file search input. You can do a lot with the file search tool. And the cool part, this makes RAG very easy. You can have these inbuilt vector stores, and it's very, very easy to just use. Guardrails. This is one of my favorite parts about this. Guardrails, you can basically make sure that whatever your user is inputting, there's not certain things that might get flagged. Like for example, you're building a medical assistant agent, you don't want any person identifiable information in it. You don't want, you can look at what each one does. Like jailbreak attempts trying to like hack your assistant, right? You can enable moderation for any like explicit content or whatever. You can also moderate your system, make sure there's no explicit content, hallucinations as well. You continue on errors. This is like really cool. So we can like say enable this, and then we can enable moderation, right? And then if it passes, then you can do whatever. If it fails, then you can maybe go to the end, right? So different ways you can go about it. Very cool tool we'll be using in our demo later on. MCP, this is like pretty straightforward. You can add different tools. We showed this a little earlier, but yeah, you connect Gmail, your Shopify. If you want to create a e-commerce assistant, you can do a lot. Then you have the if block, very self-explanatory. If condition 1 is true, then do this. Otherwise, do this. Almost like the pass-fail version of the guardrails, right? But let's say you have, this is an input equals 5. Let's say equals find me a property, on Zillow or whatever. If that's true, then you do this. If not, you do this. So very straightforward tool or node. The while loop, so you can continuously loop while the expression is true. So while input equals find property, right? You can execute a certain number of steps. You can input everything into this, right? And then whatnot. So we add whatever block you need to do right here. User approval. So let's say once the agent responds to whatever you ask it, and maybe gives you some sort of result, right? If you approve that, the user can approve it, then we can move forward. Otherwise, you can reject it. If it's rejected, maybe you go back to another part of the flow, or you just end it right there. The user approval step is pretty nice. So to put some of the stuff we learned so far together, let's say we have start, and then we have a node, like if else node, right? And we say this is a true case, right? And you say input as text equals 5, okay? And the else case can be false. Oh, delete that. The else case is automatically false. So then if it's true, then we can do whatever, but say it's false, right? Then we can have a while loop, and in the while loop, we can have a guardrail. We can say that keep doing this until there's no more personally identifiable information, right? And once it passes to that node, equals bad info. There you go, and then it ends. So this is a good way of maybe just as a user passes an input and the agent gets information or whatever, and depending on the input, once the case is matched and it's true, it's exactly what you want, you end the flow or you do some other processing. And if it's bad, let's say it has some bad information in it, you can keep looping through the guardrails until the information is what you want, or doesn't have any social security numbers or person identifiable information in it, or anything weird. Then it can go to the end flow, right? Or whatever is next in the node. So this is a good way where you can kind of just keep looping until the user gives you like good input. Cool. So now we look at these last two nodes, set state and transform. So I create some variables called count and move. Let's say I want to create a new variable. Let's call it status. And default value is, let's say, single. All right, you want to assign the value married. I'm not married, by the way, I'm just saying. Status single. Right? So we now have this variable, and we assigned it, married, right? And we could create another variable. Let's call it want to get married. And you make this call this dream status, right? And we can have the default variable want to get married. And we can pick number boolean object list for keep as a string. And now we have these two variables that you can access later on. The transform node is very powerful if you know common expression language to create custom expressions. If you don't know that, you click the learn more option. But if you ever want to transform some of your values, you can with this node. Pretty straightforward. Another cool thing that I did not touch on is if you go on the start node, you can actually use these state variables in the start node, right? You can also create your own variables. So you can create variables within the start node block itself that it can take in as workflow inputs. Let's say it's at a number, count, maybe we'll count the number of steps that the user, the number of times the user sends a message, right? So count messages, right? And default value is 0. They haven't sent one yet. You save it. Now this variable can be used from the jump. This is the canvas, and these are all the nodes of the Agent Builder platform. But now let's look at a real life agent that has been created and is in production. So at this URL, you can see the workflows that you created yourself. You can see drafts, and then you can see templates, right? So you click, let's say, this customer service template. You can see something that's already been pre-made by OpenAI's team and one of the demo agents they created. So let's go ahead and look at this. You see they have a jailbreak guardrail, and they're checking if the attempt is a jailbreak, right? Is the person trying to mess up the assistant, right? And you determine if user input is reasonable. If it fails, then automatically done, right? The flow is over. But if it's good, we're going to identify the user's intent. So we check this classification agent. You can see it passes these instructions. Classify the user intent into one of the following categories: return item, cancel subscription, or get information. Now you see this JSON right here. They enable some of these properties. Click the response schema. So in the structured output, you can have this classification step, right? And you can say classification user intent and the type of the enum. You can also generate these properties. You can add it manually if you want to, but you can also do right here. So let's say I click generate. So very similar to what these three say, right? You click create, and you see it's almost the exact same thing that was already there. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how I was able to do that. And you can update it, but I'll just cancel it for now. Cool. So classification agent, is very good to identify user's intent. And based on their intent, you can now check, right, with all these conditions, if the first part is true, the user is trying to return an item, go to the return agent. If the user is trying to cancel subscription, do the retention agent, maybe as a way of getting them back on subscription, not canceling. Otherwise, they're trying to get regular info, take them to the information agent. Now, in this case, they haven't built out these other agents. They only built out the return agent. So let's examine this a little further. You offer replacement device for free shipping. Okay, cool. Right? And then provide the user an offer and ask them to accept. So at one point, the return agent will offer a replacement device to the user, which the user can then accept or approve or reject. If they approve it, good for them. It ends. If they reject it, it ends. Now you can always expand on this and do more complicated steps, but this is the workflow that they built. Very straightforward, very easy to build, very easy to replicate. You can also copy this and add it to your own. So now we come to the widget builder step. The widget builder is again a new thing from OpenAI where you can create widgets, and you see a ton of widgets that are automatically embeddable into your chat assistant. So like this widget will literally appear in your chat assistant, which is very, very cool, right? And you can see different ones that people have created. This is like a e-commerce one, right? So you want to do e-commerce, you can click this, you can open a widget editor, or we can just copy this all this code right here, right? You can paste in your own code window, or again, we can paste directly into our agent. Now there's some other widgets we can obviously create. Now go to new widget right here. So let's say we want to create our own widget. What we can do is we can upload any image. So I'll put a photo of one of my favorite anime characters, and I can say so now we are basically customizing our widget just by giving a custom photo. Press enter, and now we can see our widget be created live. We look at that, the colorways are perfect. You can see place order, cancel, match the color scheme. So I want to download this widget. This is my own widget, right? And now I can use this widget in my agent builder. So if I go to my agent, go to output format, I put widget. I can add my widget, and you just got to upload your widget file, and there you go. You are a helpful assistant. User wants to buy item they have selected. We can call this like a submit order agent. Okay, preview, and we type a message. I want to buy the item. Obviously right now we have no knowledge base, we have no context on what items he's talking about. We just want to look at how the widget will look like in the workflow. And there you go. And now I was asking some questions like before you place the order, I need a few details such as the item, the delivery method, the payment method. But this is how the component is literally within the assistant itself. So it's very beautiful. Like this is like really welcoming aesthetic to the eye, right? And this will actually help your sales if you're using this for like to sell something. But let's close the preview out. And that's how widgets work. Again, you can build your own widgets. There's a huge gallery of them for inspiration. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I imagine this will only get bigger and bigger. So next step is to look at the chat kit. Now the chat kit is pretty cool. Let me say let's guess the country. And this is just like a cool way to play around with something OpenAI has created. We don't really care much about that though. You want to go to the playground. The playground is something that allows you to basically customize your AI assistant. And you can make it look absolutely amazing. You do a light theme, you do a dark theme. You can, let's say you want to add an accent, right? Make a red accent. So it's a red button now. I'm gonna do like a little green accent. Yes, I like that. Change the surface colors. But I want to keep it black. That looks not cute. Make it black, and then let's make this black, right? So it's much darker. That's pretty cool. You can edit the font family, right? Give it different styles, which is always cool to see. It's like the default, right? You edit the font size, make things bigger, smaller. A lot of ways, a lot of customization that you essentially have. The one that you probably want to do the most is the greeting. Like, hey, what's up? It's pretty cool. And some starter prompts. And you have several starter prompts, right? We just have some for now. And placeholder can be ask me a question. So this Chatkit Studio essentially gives you a lot of customizability over your agent, which is really good because you can make your own. That's why not all agents will look the same. You can get really crazy with it. You can add different models, even persona picker as well, a little classic model picker. It's pretty cool, right? So you get clear, chatty, crisp, or the model. Really cool, man. Really cool. Now let's say you want to check out some widget examples of how the widget may look like within your chat assistant. You can say like the calendar event, and you can watch this. This is gonna send a widget. And look at that. Very nice, very pretty. Right click add to calendar. And then boom, the calendar event is created. Obviously it's not actually linked to our calendar, but it's really cool, right? And we can test some other ones as well. Let's look at great assignments. Let's say you're a teacher, right? Or even a coach. And look at that. It breaks down exactly who scored what. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create an agent live. And what this agent will do is it will be an assistant that we can deploy on my website for my SaaSes that essentially allows me to create YouTube videos on autopilot using Google Veo 3. Someone might have questions about my SaaS. Like, what exactly does it do? How can it be helpful? How much does it cost? So we can have that assistant right here. And then we are going to allow it to take in user payments and basically confirm that, hey, do you want to buy X amount of credits? If so, here's a widget. We're not going to deploy on our website officially. So the first thing we're going to do is add some guardrails. Okay, I don't want the user to act on weird stuff. All right, so anything that's jailbreak, take that out, and some standard moderation. All right, if it fails, we're going to end the flow immediately. Okay, and if it passes, we will have an agent, and we will do a classification agent. Because we want to give the user two options, right? We want to let the agent be able to, one, ask a general question about the SaaS, and two, buy credits through it. This is a prompt that I added. Again, this assistant is just to classify, right? So we can just save this, and then include chat history, reasoning effort. We keep it low. Tools. Now, for tools, we want, actually, we don't need any tools for now. Output format, we do JSON. We add the schema, and we add the property, but we just do generate. We want the model to is trying to buy credits. Create. So you have the intent, general question, buy credits. We'll update that. So now we're going to add our if-else block. So we will have if, and we will say this is a question. So intent, right? Input out, output parse intent equals. What was the values? The values were general question. So if it's general question, right? Then we will do that. I think it's buy credits, right? Buy credits, yep. So cool. And then if it's else, then yeah, we're ending it. The agent has no idea what's going on. So if it's a general question, we're going to send it to now our super smart agent. And we're going to give it a prompt saying that it's extremely smart and that it can answer anything about the agent, about the SaaS. This is a prompt I gave it. I told it to be clear, concise, and use a knowledge regarding my video on my SaaS quick shorts, as well as the website itself to answer questions. You might be like, how is it supposed to know this? Well, we're going to give this. We're going to give this agent that information in a bit. Yeah, just give it some personality, saying it's a knowledgeable system. So click save. Output format is text. Now we're adding some tools. We're going to add a web search, and we want to only have it search this web, right? This doesn't matter. Click add. We also wanted to add another knowledge base, and that's the file search. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to YouTube. We're We're gonna find the video where I talk about quick shorts. I believe it's this one right here. We're gonna go YouTube to transcript. There you go. We copy the entire transcript, and now we go to Google Docs, create a new document, paste it right there, right? And what we can do now, we can just download this as like a TXT. There you go. Let's rename it. I renamed the file. So now what we're gonna do is click upload, and we'll do this one right here. And we call this quick shorts knowledge base. The file is added. We will attach that. So it's super easy to add vector stores, right, within our agent. And then we have our output format text. So let's go ahead and preview this. You can say, what is quick shorts? Should pass. Yep, there you go, we passed that. And now it's classifying, general question. Now the agent will answer. Quick Shorts is an AI-powered video repurposing to our taste from long videos into platform-ready short clips for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram Reels. Wow, that's amazing. Who's it for? If you tell me your use case, I can suggest the fastest workflow inside Quick Shorts. Like, that is amazing. Perfect, right? And now we can turn this into something that will actually help us, buy things or get some money. All right, we got another agent, and we're gonna call this here. Let's call this a Q&A agent, and then we will call this the credit agent. And we'll give this a prompt that lets it know that you are responsible for helping users buy credits. Okay, save that. And then we'll do output format, we'll do widget. Now we're gonna add our widget. Let's go ahead and go back to the widget store. So we already have our widget upload, the order confirmation one, or we do purchase items one. Let's do purchase items. This is the original one, yeah, this one right here. We can edit it if you want to, but we don't have to do that for now. And we gotta just pretend these are credits, right? Not actually like boba or milk tea latte bottles. The items the user is buying is credits. So you can use a coin icon instead of images of. And then that should be good, right? And then we can have like an end flow. What we can say is we can make, after the user's done asking this agent questions, we're gonna at least let the user know, like, hey, do you want to buy credits, right? Okay, let's run it from the top. I want to buy 50 credits. So it should be buy credits. Yep, there you go. 50 credits, look at that. Subtotal $5, total with tax. Now say I want to purchase, and then let me purchase. But look at that, and there's no image. We can give it an image in the knowledge base. Right now, I didn't give it an image, but pretty cool, right? We have our agent fully created. We can deploy this now. So we click publish, and we can say Quick Shorts Assistant. Click publish, and it's officially published. You can see right here, it's in production. So now we can deploy this into Chatkit, and we can actually add this to our website, which would be pretty cool. If you want the resources found in this video, then check my free school community because you will find it there. And if you want to learn how to sell productized AI systems, watch this video next.